Welcome in, email geeks. We're in the place to be, the home for all things email design, development, and marketing. It's the Email Design Podcast, and we are your hosts. I'm Kevin Mandeville.
And I'm Jason Rodriguez.
And Jason, man, we've got a jam-packed episode today. I mean, we have got a lot of news to cover, so let's just get right into it.
Yeah, lots of news out of the email world in the past week or so. So this one's jam-packed, which is awesome. Kicking it off with the release of iOS 11. So Apple's new mobile operating system. We've had the beta for quite a while now, but iOS 11 is out in the wild. People have it on their devices. That adoption rate is ticking up pretty quickly because it's Apple and people love updating their devices. So Bettina wrote up this great blog post on the Litmus blog, kind of going over what's involved with the iOS 11 release, any changes be with the iPhone 8, the iPhone 8 Plus, and the iPhone 10. I always want to say iPhone X, but it's iPhone 10. It's just so weird to get used to. It is what it is. But the good news is that not a whole lot has changed between iOS 10 and 11. There was a little bit of concern over the course of this summer where it seemed like one of the betas for iOS 11 dropped support for HTML5 video. But with the public release of iOS 11, video is still supported. So that's pretty good news. That's awesome if you're trying to get those videos working in email. We should note that that poster attribute is required for that preview image of your video in the email. It used to be that you didn't have to declare that poster attribute and it would fall back to that first frame in the video, but now it appears blank in iOS 11. So just make sure if you're using HTML5 video, you have that poster attribute in there pointing to that image that you want as the still. Screen sizes, things have stayed the same for the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. It's the exact same dimensions as the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, which is good news because that means the media query targeting that we've been using for those devices, if you want to target those devices specifically, are still in place. So that's just using, the max device width, max device height for those different device sizes. Screen resolutions for iPhone X or iPhone 10 is definitely different. This is an entirely new device size for Apple. The good news is that width-wise, it's the same as the 4.7-inch displays on the iPhone 8, but the height is where it's going to increase significantly. So it's a much taller screen. It has that notch in there, which we're still playing around with and trying to figure out how that it comes into play with like the email app and, all those emails that you're looking at. So it's definitely a different device size there, a little bit different targeting, but we have that media query up in the blog post, which is awesome. But other than that, there's not too much going on. We can still target iOS 11 and 10, thanks to Remy Parmentier's little hack of using @supports for the WebKit overflow scrolling touch and then the RGBA color notation. So that stuff's all cool. No major rendering changes. You're definitely going to want to keep an eye on using Retina images and stuff like that, especially because the iPhone 10 has such a wildly large and beautiful screen. So you want to make sure images look nice and crisp there, but no big changes, which is good. But this is available for testing. iOS 11 and the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus are now available in Litmus. You can go to your account and test your emails on those devices today. And then we have the iPhone 10 coming out in November when Apple releases it.
Yeah, the video controls, that they still feel janky to me.
Yeah.
A little bit in playing with it, but at least video is still supported. It's great to see. We don't really have to change a whole lot. I mean, support pretty much stayed static, and I know there's a bit of a worry there in the beta period, but it's good to see things have relatively stayed the same. Just, we get, as Apple sort of billing it, the super retina pixels of the iPhone 10. So it's going from an 8 Plus 401 PPI to 458 PPI on the iPhone 10. Pixel density is still 3 though, which is good. So you can still sort of target both environments that way. What do you think of the notch, Jason? What are your thoughts on the notch on the iPhone 10?
I don't really care about it. I'm not like completely offended by it like a lot of people are. And you've been sharing in our Slack channels some of the cool little design hacks that people are working around with it, which I think could be interesting when it comes to like an app design perspective. But I'm not worried about it. I think it is what it is. I don't think it's a huge deal. There's ways to kind of work around and stuff, so I'm not too concerned about it. How about you?
Yeah, I think it'll be a bigger deal for websites. I don't really think it's going to impact us for email because I don't think they're going to let us be able to expand beyond.
We're not going to go near it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we'll have to hack around with it, but my guess is they're not going to let us expand beyond the viewport of that email app. And I don't know, I don't think it's the most elegant looking thing, but it's growing on me the more and more I look at it. Yeah. I think the thing to remember is we only have to deal with the notch for about, 2 years or so, because they're going to get that thing down to be so small that it's just going to be a full screen eventually. Like it'll literally just be a little dot at the top or whatnot that it's not even going to be noticeable. So I think it's just one of those short-term first world problems. Obviously we're all used to just the square display, but I don't know. I kind of like it, them trying to go edge to edge, and they'll eventually get there, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah. And hey, at least we still have the iOS targeting and above, so that's all sticking the same, which is great. So I'm happy.
There you go. That's all you need.
Yeah. So some big news to announce here in the email world. So we all know that around last December, the Outlook apps, which came way of the Acompli acquisition, which we talked about on the podcast previously, started losing media query support under different account types, and it was very weird behavior. The reason why, which we found out through our partnership with Microsoft, is that it actually was sort of down to some account migrations happening. So going from Acompli, type servers and getting them onto Microsoft and whatnot. And that just caused some discrepancies in media query support. It was never intentional to lose media query support. But we were happy to announce, we announced this at Litmus Live San Francisco, that consistent media query support is returning to Outlook iOS and Android. So, and this is across all account types. So you will be seeing update rolling out over the next couple of weeks here, and that there should no longer be any types of issues. And this is really going to be supporting any type of media query that you want. It's got, full support for all screen handheld media types. And then you can do min width, max width, min device width, max device width. They've got even the min device pixel ratio. It is a WebKit rendering engine under the hood for the most part. Obviously, it doesn't support everything from WebKit, but you can still do WebKit targeting through the Outlook app. So it's really the best app for sort of media queries. It's really on par with iOS Mail now in terms of media query support. And yeah, this is something that wouldn't really have been possible without the Litmus Microsoft partnership. So I'm really excited that this is something we've been working on and that this is finally starting to roll out. So, thanks to the email geeks who sent stuff in about this, especially Courtney had a fantastic blog post around the time when this behavior originally started happening. I mean, this is just another great step forward for email rendering.
Yeah, this is awesome. You noted in this blog post that with this update, 80% of global email client market share is supporting media queries, which is huge. So this is awesome to see Microsoft getting on board with that and fixing that stuff in the Outlook apps. And I love seeing that support for media queries grow so much, especially with like Gmail and stuff last year. And it just makes a huge difference and allows us to build much better emails, which is awesome. Like you said, it's a testament to this Microsoft and Litmus partnership. So everybody keep those bug tickets coming in, keep reporting stuff, and we're talking with Microsoft and trying to get these things fixed, which is awesome.
Absolutely. So just going to take a second here. You can catch the podcast at emaildesignpodcast.com. All past episodes, everything we talk about on today's, podcast. We have full show notes and links to everything we discuss. It's all right there. Tweet along with the hashtag emaildesignpodcast and subscribe on SoundCloud, YouTube, and iTunes. Catch the podcast there as soon as it drops. And don't forget, we have a free 14-day trial of Litmus. Just go to litmus.com/gift card, input the coupon code podcast, get 14 days free of Litmus. So this means you can test your email in all the different email clients. So you can take a look at what it looks like in iOS 11 now on iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus. As soon as iPhone 10 comes out, we'll be having that as a part of the previews. We're working on Outlook, iOS and Android right now as well, Jason, right? So that'll be something we get into this week soon. So, make sure you test your email, make sure it looks good in all these email clients. You don't want to send a broken email to your subscribers. That's just a really bad experience. You're losing money when you do that. So definitely be sure you're testing your email. Everything looks good before it goes out the door. You can also check your links, your tracking, your images, make sure they aren't too big or taking too long to load. Just making sure you're optimizing your email so that you give the best experience for your subscribers and that you have full confidence when it comes time to hit that send button, everything's looking great. So again, just go to litmus.com/gift card, input the coupon code podcast for a free 14-day trial of Litmus.
All right, this next news story is probably my favorite thing to happen in quite a while in email. Campaign Monitor updated their ultimate guide to CSS, which is huge because this has long been kind of the go-to resource for people investigating CSS support across email clients, and they made a massive update recently. So now they did a complete rewrite, redesign, and testing of the entire guide. So now they're testing 278 different CSS properties and features across 35 email clients, which is huge. So they're testing, everything from support for styles and link elements in the head, different selectors, media query support, the box model positioning, font-related stuff, animations. They even have support for grid, CSS grid and Flexbox, which is cool to see. So a complete redesign, complete rewrite of this, which is absolutely amazing. The last update was back in 2014. So it's been getting a little bit long in the tooth. It's still a good resource, but now it's the destination for anybody that needs to research CSS support across email clients. It's nice they've kind of broken it down into sections. They made it pretty easy to search through stuff, see what's supported where. They have this great search functionality too. So if you need to look up a specific CSS property, just type it in the search box. It'll immediately pop up there and you can check support there. You can drill down into individual clients. You can look at desktop, mobile, and webmail clients and see support for those individual ones if you're checking one specifically. But this is absolutely a massive update. It is such a great resource and has long been like my go-to guide for checking stuff like this. And I think everybody else's. So it's great to see them finally, updating it, expanding it massively and making it that much more valuable of a resource.
Yeah, huge thanks to Campaign Monitor. This isn't an easy undertaking at all.
No,
so
not at all. Yeah.
We appreciate this and, especially just making this open and public facing to the community. It's a great resource. I will miss sort of having the high level comparison view across the core clients.
Totally. Yeah.
I think that's the only thing I really miss about this, but otherwise everything else is just a massive improvement. Like you said, it's testing out more and more actual clients, more and more actual CSS properties. So yeah, I mean, this just looks fantastic and should be very, very helpful for anybody really trying to troubleshoot around individual properties and support for that.
Yeah, I still want to see this is all CSS focused. I would love to see somebody build out a support chart for actual HTML elements, kind of like a can I use type service for email. But obviously that's still a ton of work as well. So I'm more than happy with just having CSS support right now.
I do know that's a current project being worked on.
Is it? So, nice. Yeah. I like it. Good to hear.
So I'm sure Campaign Monitor's resource will be piggybacked off of for that as well.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. So. All right, what's going on with G Suite?
Yeah, so another update from Gmail rendering here, and the good thing is that they actually publicly blogged about it.
Yeah.
So now addresses, phone numbers, and contacts are now automatically being converted to links in Gmail and Inbox by Gmail to save users time, as they like to call it. So it's essentially just like other email clients like iOS Mail or whatnot, the blue links issue, where they're just automatically linking these types of addresses, phone numbers, contacts automatically and turning them into blue links. It's a sort of default behavior. This is a little bit tricky, though, with Gmail because we cannot use attribute selectors in the CSS to target these because they don't support those. They strip those out of the CSS. And that's typically how we would target them for something like iOS Mail. And it would really be the ideal and easiest way to target them in Gmail with all the sort of attribute properties they have on them. But that won't work. But we've been able to come up with just a very simple solution to override these blue links in Gmail. So what you can do is you can add an ID to the body tag of your HTML. So if you just have body, ID equals body, and then in your CSS, just use U plus ID of body A for the link. And then you want your properties to be color inherent, Text decoration, none. Font size, inherit. Font family, font weight, line height, inherit. Basically, whatever you want to use. I mean, it'll probably vary for everybody, but that's just sort of the typical. If you don't want there to be blue link underlining, just add all of those on there, and then that's just going to be a simple reset to sort of override those Gmail blue links and just inherit whatever styling you have on your actual link styling, or whatever it inherits from, say, like a paragraph tag or table cell or whatnot. So just a relatively simple fix for this.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, it's good news for users. It gives them that extra functionality that iOS has had for a long time, which is great. But it's one of those things we need to account for. So I love this. It's the exact same thing as the Apple X data detector kind of thing that they were doing. It's just adding that extra selector for Gmail. So I think you could probably just, we're using the same override, so you could just chain those two together and account for all of them, which is a nice, easy, elegant hack. So good work, Kevin, kind of digging this up and figuring out what that hack is. And just start using your emails. You actually posted a snippet of text over on the community snippets. So if you go to litmus.com/community/snippets, I think it'll be the first one because it was the most recent addition to the snippets code. And you can see the code there and start adding it to your emails.
Yep, we're showing it here and we'll link it out. One quick note, make sure you separate it from the Apple data detectors one, because Gmail will strip the data detectors one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because it's using the attribute selector.
Yeah, so just make sure that you separate them out into separate style blocks so Gmail doesn't end up stripping it. That could be a little thing you overcome. So one of the things that's new, Justin Koo over at Fresh Inbox came out with a little wrinkle to interactive email. It's something that's kind of been around for a little while, but he personalized it a bit more for email. He's calling it the film strip interactive email technique. And what's different about this is that this does not rely on checkboxes or radio buttons for interactive email. Instead, he's using windowed named anchors. So essentially what you want to do is you want to have links somewhere, right, for what you actually want your, let's call it your tabs in this example that I'm showing here that he has for NYC, SF, and Chicago. Those are actual links to an anchor tag. So, ahref equals anchor 1 or anchor 2, something like that. And then later down in your HTML, what you do is you just have a link, an empty link, which is an A name with the same anchor link that you're pointing to. And then it will jump to it and basically act as a way to navigate between that type of content. And so this is, and you want to make sure you use name and not ID, because ID isn't going to work in the Gmail app. So you want to make sure you use name. And so this is not as well supported for interactive email as something like the checkbox hack or radio buttons hack are, but this does have support in Gmail app, Android, the Samsung native client, Android 4.4, iOS mail as well. But it doesn't have support in some other key ones like Apple Mail, for instance, AOL Mail, but it is a way to get support, primarily in the Gmail app. And then even it avoids, hiccups in some ESPs like MailChimp, because MailChimp strips out radio buttons, checkboxes. This actually works there. So it is nice. It's a little simpler from that perspective. It doesn't require any CSS. You can just do this with HTML. But it's not as well supported. It's not as flexible sort of as radio buttons are, but you could pair this and use this as one way of doing it on top of interactive radio buttons and checkboxes. So it's just sort of another technique thrown out there for us to evaluate and consider using.
Yeah, I definitely like that it works with MailChimp, because there's so many MailChimp users that can or haven't been able to take advantage of interactive emails. So I really like that. I could see people using this for really basic kind of, tab switching or carousel type features in their email. But like you said, it doesn't seem as flexible. It seems more or less like you're building out like a slideshow type technique. So like real true, more advanced interactivity isn't really possible using this method. So that's where you're going to want to rely on that checkbox or radio button hack to get that stuff working. But cool to see, you know, another technique added to the interactive toolbox. So definitely check it out. Justin Koo does a great job kind of breaking it down. His cool example you can check out too. Moving on from there, just quick announcement that Sublime Text 3 is finally out. So this has been long coming. Sublime Text has been around for years at this point. I remember buying my first license back in, God, probably 2012, 2013. So waiting around for this. Version 3 has been a long time coming. It's been in beta for quite a while, but they finally released it officially. It's a fantastic update. It has an entirely new UI, new color schemes, which are absolutely beautiful. I've been using the new like default one, which I love. But so many like under the hood improvements that make it just so fast, so reliable. It's definitely my go-to editor. I kind of had a little bit of time in the wilderness using things like Atom, Visual Studio Code, which are both great editors too, but I feel like for me and for a lot of people, Sublime Text feels like home. It was that first like kind of new breed of editors that came out years ago, and it's good to kind of get back in there. I was happy to pay for the upgrade. It was $30 to upgrade my license. Love to support that development and use this kind of best of breed editor. So definitely check it out at sublimetext.com. They have a good blog post going over what's new, some of the improvements, and if you want the most reliable, fastest editor, then Sublime Text is definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, you think the speed on it's looking real good with this version?
Yeah, I've definitely, especially I feel like Atom's been really slow when I've used it recently. And I've had problems with just Atom like being reliable and letting me even open files or open up that open file dialog. Visual Studio Code's been good too, but I've noticed it's been a little bit draggy sometimes as well, especially when I'm opening up like my website, like a fairly large Jekyll build. But Sublime Text is instant. It's been super fast, super reliable. You know, I love like it has all of that community that the other ones have too, and more. I feel like just because it's been around for such a long time, it has great plugins, really active community. So I absolutely love this update.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I originally used Sublime Text as well, and then I switched to Atom and I'm just talking about web stuff because I use Builder for all email stuff. But and I'm still on Atom. It's been, good for me. Not that I'm really working on anything that complex these days, but for the web. But I'll definitely have to check out Sublime Text 3 again. Because it's obviously one of the staples, and based off what we did with our survey, State of Email 2017, Sublime Text was, in terms of desktop editors, it was Dreamweaver was number 1, and then Sublime Text was number 2. So we obviously know it's a big player in the space here. So totally, I'm interested to take a look at this.
Yeah, check it out for sure.
All right, on to our email of the week. And this one is coming to us from Envision. And this might be my favorite designed email of the year so far. Because
this is beautiful.
This is big. This is bold. So this is announcing one of their new features called Freehand, which is a way to sort of collaborate with your teams on designs. So sort of doing, commenting and notes on actual visual items, right? So just being able to like draw on elements and things like that. And I mean, the hero section really just epitomizes what the tool is and does, where you can really just sort of make comments on it. So and they even illustrate that through the design, like showing how you could use the tool to underline a certain area or draw on the elements. It shows the different teammates that you have with their cursors around. Just really big, bold, great icons as you come down to the page. And even the way, like one of my favorite sections down at the very, very bottom, CTA, the way how they just have that illustration around the CTA to call attention to it. Just gorgeous. It even has a nice little hover effect on the button as well. So, I mean, for me, this is kind of like breaking out of the table cell type of design, right? Where this is really big, really bold. And I can't remember a design I love more than this for this year.
Yeah, this is, I feel like it's similar to, there was a Marvel email from the Marvel app. that did like a similar design, but I feel like this is just taking it to that next level, which I absolutely love. Yeah, the hand-drawn elements are beautiful, and it's like the perfect marriage of content and design, because freehand is all about doing kind of hand-drawn annotations on your design work. So having that throughout the email is a beautiful, beautiful example of the design, illustrating that content really effectively. It's nice and responsive too. They're doing some image swapping in here to get things working a little bit better on responsive or on mobile devices, but all in all, this is just an absolutely gorgeous email. It's, there's a fair amount going on, but it doesn't ever feel cluttered. It still feels nice and wide open and clean. Very simple, but it's fantastic. And I love these hovers on the buttons. I feel like not enough people use hover states in email because they don't think it's like widely supported, but why not just add an extra line of CSS to take care of that? So it's good to see them doing even the little touches like that. This is
it's an really enhancement. You can do that. And just the real text. I ran a quick test through it. It looks pretty well supported in all the places. So that's good. And this is a great example. Your design doesn't have to be 600 pixels wide. I mean, I know it is mostly like that for their text area, but the design breaks out beyond that, right? So, I mean, this is like one of those perfect examples where it's like, guys, you can be big and bold with your designs. It doesn't have to be this thin mobile type aware design all the time, which is what we keep trying to aspire to, like with our own email designs, right? So, all right. Well, I guess that's going to do it for this edition. Oh, you know what I forgot to talk about, Jason?
What's that?
I wanted to bring it up just on the new iOS Animojis. What do you think? We're going to see Animoji support in email?
I don't expect it anytime soon, just because it's so heavily tied to the iPhone 10's facial recognition. But that would be very interesting to see Animojis in email at some point. Interesting feature to see for sure. I feel like it's just kind of riffing on the stickers and stuff for messages and making it like that much more. So we'll see. I'm not too eager to see a bunch of animated poop emojis in email. But if it happens, it happens.
Oh man, just please, not in the subject line, people. Please, not in the subject line. All right, that's going to do it. This edition, jam-packed edition. This was great. Remember, check out the podcast, emaildesignpodcast.com. All the past episodes and full show notes and links right there. Tweet along with the hashtag Email Design Podcast. Subscribe on SoundCloud, YouTube, and iTunes. And hey, we got a free 14-day trial of Litmus. Just go to litmus.com/gift card and input the coupon code podcast. Test an iPhone 8, 8 Plus, iPhone 10 when it's coming out. Maybe Animoji someday. We'll see. Catch you later.